Hello beer tubers and welcome to another beer review with me, Peter, the master of hoppets. Today, diving into 3 cans of hazies, courtesy of Beer Dome. We're doing the Ghost Odyssey. Can I show all 3? Kind of. Look at this. We're doing Parish, Ghost in the Machine, Double Dry Hop Ghost in the Machine, and the newest Double Dry Hop Ghost Prime. All these 3 had a European release. Actually, Parish once in a while gets over here now. We see that with a lot of American beer. Like, it often comes over here. A lot of it is exported, and a lot of the hype stuff is getting over here now, too. It really shows the state of the U.S. beer market. But look at these. If you're a hazy boy, you're going to be like, yes. Oh, that smelled really good. So I praised the double dry hop version a lot. I think I gave it a 95. I really thought it was banging. But I never had the base version, which we got, and then this new Prime. So it's a beer from Parish in Louisiana, Broussard, Louisiana, and Louisiana. And this is their claim to fame. It was the beer that put them on the map, really. I remember when haze was really starting to get popular, one of the hazies that people talked a lot about was Ghost in the Machine. A lot of people were loving it, saying it was great. They, of course, and then came out with a double dry hop version, which is the one I already reviewed. And then since a couple other variations, I tried the Ghost in the Laboratory, the collab with Equilibrium, and they've done a lot. There's also like a collab with Tripping Animals, which is called Ghost Animals or Spirit. I guess something with animals, and it's a buffalo head with this kind of the design inside the skull. And they've done a lot of variations on it. But these 3 made it to Europe, so I thought it'd be fun to group them together because they had them all on Beer Dome. So thanks a ton to Beer Dome for the beers. I'm pretty sure they might have the regular version and the double dry hopped, but the Prime sold out really quick. But let's start. So it's an ode to Citra hops. It's all Citra hops, and Citra is one of those hops that can stand on its own, all 8% as well. So let's start off with the whoop. Scared me there for a sec. The regular version, the non-double dry hop. I mean, look at that. That looks like saturated haze. I'm not that much into hazies these days, but I really wanted to try these just because I love the double dry hop version so much, and also just try the regular one. So let's check this one out. Like bright orange. Like it doesn't have the same vibrancy. Like this is not only due to malt. Look at that color. Bright yellow. That's because it's heavily hopped. It's hopped to all hell. All those lupulin, or I think it's in those lupulin, all that lupulin, some of the like stuff on the palates and whatnot, it's still somewhat in suspension when you do these really heavy dry hops, and it gives you that bright sensation that you get in a lot of beers. Like basically a lot of the brightness you love in hazies is due to heavy hop rates. But let's check out the aroma on this one. Classic Citra hop aroma, really sweet citrus forward with tropical vibes. Also some good dankness. So it's from the 29th of November, the base version. The double dry hop is from the 14th of November, and the Prime is from the 30th. So that's pretty good. That means they're 3 months when I try them now, ish. No, not even. 2 months, 2.5. I mean, that's pretty good for a European import, I think. Or American beer imported to Europe, exported to Europe. Smells really good. Like it's got a lot of sweet tropical fruit as well. There's definitely a lot of yeast at play. Sweet, kind of tropical mango. A little bit of papaya. Sweet citrus. It smells quite overripe. This smells like classic New England haze. And the kind of New England haze I'm like a bit sick of. Like it smells sweeter, it smells estery and whatnot, but it smells good. This is what most people in Denmark, I think, are accustomed to in terms of haze. Let's try it. Cheers. Thanks to Beer Dome for the beers. Ooh, some decent bitterness. Which, yeah. Okay, I want to look it up now. Because it doesn't feel like pure saturation. It could be that this has some bitterness. Ghost in the Machine. The regular one. 100 IBUs. What? Holy hell. It's fun to see. I have some friends, they really, really rate this stuff high. Which is impressive. Like 5s and stuff, even this one. Okay, so it doesn't feel like 100 IBUs, but it's definitely more bitter than your classic like hazy. But it tastes like classic hazy, but a really good one. But also the stuff I'm a little bit tired of. Like overripe, juicy, mango, papaya, sweet citrus fruit, pithy citrus, a little bit of a piney nuance on the end, bitter spice, but massive juice bomb. Like I can understand why stuff like this got popular. You know, I was all aboard the haze train, but just a couple of sips and I'm already thinking, yeah, I'm not into this anymore. Like, I really wanted to try these just to try them because I was so interested in them and they got them on Beer Dome and I thought it'd be fun to do a video and to see how they compare and see what you guys think if you tried them. But like the first one is basically like where I'm thinking, yeah, been there, done that. And that's really how it's become with haze. Like I'm just not that into it anymore. But every once in a while I get one where I'm like fired up. But I think it's good. It's also like not too sweet. It's got some nice dryness, and the bitterness helps cut the sweetness. So it's like really well made classic haze that's juicy and juice bomby without being like overly sweet. So we're moving on now to the double dry hop version. This also says 100 IBUs, and I'm like, what the hell? Are you serious? That's crazy. So they have over, wow, listen to this, 8 pounds of Citra per barrel. That is nuts. That's a bit like usually I hear a lot of American brewers, they say around 5 pounds per barrel when they go nuts, but there are some people, they're doing the 8, some people are even doing higher, some people are going towards like 11 and 15, and like, there's also a point where it gets too much. Like at one point it's just gonna burn your entire mouth. Like at one point you can just eat hop sludge from what's coming out of the tank, but 8 pounds per barrel, holy crap. That's a lot, that's like almost 40 grams per liter. That's 30-some grams per liter. You really need not a lot of contact time for this to be great. So I already had this, and you can also see it looks like hopcum. I mean, it's just so heavily saturated. So, and this was, yeah, also it was around the same time in November. Yeah, so this smells much more bright, much more pineapple-y, much more singy. Yeah, definitely much more kind of my jam. It's just because I love the aroma of hops, I guess. Like, and maybe that's also why I'm getting more into West Coast beers, because the hops get to shine and there's not a lot of sweet beer underneath. But a lot of people get into it because it's sweet and juicy and that it helps boost the fruity flavors of the hops. But yeah, it's pretty much what I remember. I think it was a bit fresher the can I had originally, so I'm not as like floored by this, but it smells really good. Big, bright pineapple, a bit of lime, a pithy citrus, maybe even kiwi or something like slightly southern hemisphere. It smells really nice though. Like this is where it's at. This is where it's at. So let's try it. Cheers. Heavy saturation, wow. And a good bitterness too. And dryness. It's never too sweet. Yeah, it's really good though. Massive bright Citra bomb. Pineapple, slightly cushy, weedy dankness that was not on the flavor, and I think that's because there's more hops in there, so you get more of that weed kind of like profile. I definitely prefer this over the single dry hop or regular version, because oftentimes it's not like, it's just called double dry hop because there's even more hops. It doesn't necessarily mean it's added more than once in the process. But yeah, it's just drying, saturated, bright, pineapple-y, pineapple kush, limey, passion fruity, zesty, a little bit like of almost like lime starburst or like something like that, because there's a touch of sweetness. Or tropical starburst. I've also said Monstera Deliciosa, and I think like it's one of the best notes for saturated beers, but because Monstera Deliciosa, the fruit, will also like bite into your palate. It's almost, and it has like the same, like really bright, it's almost like you crossed a banana with a pineapple. And there's a little bit of that going on with this, but it's like, if you have to eat it really ripe, otherwise I think it can really be bad for your tongue or something like that. But when you eat it ripe, it stings in your palate, and it's quite different. Maybe there's even also like a little bit of soursop to this. But it's damn fantastic. I could definitely drink this more so than this. And that's purely because the saturation of hops makes it seem less sweet. Let's move on, because this video is already getting quite long, to the Ghost Prime. So this is a version of the double dry hopped Ghost in the Machine with something, I think it's not brand new, but something that they've been experimenting with for a while, Yakima Chief, which is fresh frozen hops. I don't know when this was released, if it's the first time they released it last year, or what it is, but it's called YCH 301, and basically it's a cryo version of fresh hops. So it's a cryo version of wet hops. So you can use wet hops year round. That's the idea, I guess. So basically it goes through a similar process to the cryo pelletizing thing, but without the hops being kilned and dried. So it says here a little info about it. It's flash frozen in their state-of-the-art facility, and talk a little bit how the process protects a lot of the vibrant fresh hop oils and whatnot. So they use, of course, Citra in there, but this is like the big thing that they use, this cryogenically frozen fresh Citra. So I'm guessing this was released in November because it's around the wet hop season. So, that's when American brewers do these wet hop beers with fresh hops. So it looks very similar to the double dry hop, just a little less like crazy yellow. And that could be due to maybe there's resin or hop gunk in the bottom of the can that's not swirled up. It just looks like a massive haze bomb. So let's check this one out as well. So it's a little bit more towards the first one. And I think maybe that's also because these fresh hops are really volatile and they don't last very long in the bottle and cans. And like when brewers in the States have released wet hop beers and fresh hop beers, they've been like, drink it fast, drink it fast. And I think it's the same with this. So it will not hold up as well in the can, even though it's these frozen ones. So basically the idea is, yeah, you can use it all year, but it's gonna be best within the first few weeks maybe. In general, in my mind, after 4 weeks, a lot of these start to drop a little bit. Although I'm surprised by this one, I still think this holds up really well. But in general, I think hazy beers and hoppy beers, 4-week mark, and then we start to drop. And that's the general thing for me at least. But it smells like something in between the regular and the double dry hopped. It has a lot of the pin bright notes, but it also has a lot of overripe notes. Like a lot of the mango papaya kind of nuances shine here too, but there's a little bit of that bright passion fruity kind of note. There's also a little bit of dankness. Yeah, and a little bit of a candied note, kind of like the first one as well, like this Skittles kind of Starburst thing. But I think that's the yeast with the hops. But let's try it. Cheers. It's definitely in between the two. Which one could I drink the most of and I would enjoy the most drinking in the long run? It would probably be this, because I could imagine this getting too saturated in the long run. This also, the prime feels more bitter. It seems smack dab in the middle, and I'm not sure if that's because I need to swirl up and get the rest of the gunk in, because like a lot of the times in the bottom of the hazies, you'll have a lot of hop residue, and like that's why some brewers tell you to roll cans and stuff. You'll get it back in suspension, and it'll be bright and whatnot, and whatever. But it can also ruin a beer sometimes. I think it can sometimes, if you swirl it up, depending on how much is in the can, make the beer like almost undrinkable because it can burn a bit, hop burn. When it's in smaller amounts, it's more of a bite, and it will work similar to bitterness, but overripe tropical fruit, mango, papaya notes paired with bright pineapple, a little bit of pineapple kush, a little bit of dankness, limey, zesty notes, a bit of grapefruit on this one too, sweet citrus, and I think that carries through mostly. Like the citrus profile is mostly on the regular and the prime. The double dry hop is like all bright tropical fruit, and I think that's all about just saturation. Yeah, like I'm not getting much of sweet orange. This is just like hop candy almost. Like it's just so pure, like hoppy and intensely hoppy. Like it sounds like I'm a bit like underwhelmed by all these, but they're fucking great hazies. They are great hazy IPAs. I'm just so done with the style, really. Like every time I almost have a hazy, it's cemented in stone for me. It's like, yeah, I'm like, I'm not that into this anymore. And it's like, it just happened again now. Like before this, I reviewed 2 German Bucks, and I'd rather drink at least a fresh one than these. and it's just nuts. And I think it's just because I've been through the whole haze, like heavily hop, crazy saturation, all that. It's been really fun. And then I think I also just, like Joe says, I overdone it. I just haze, and there's like, okay, I'm done with haze. But I don't know. I'm just like not that. Like once in a while, I get an inkling, like let's get some hazies, and there's like I'll try some hazies, and then we're done. But my favorite of all of them is definitely the double dry hop. I think this can might be a little subpar to the last time I had it, so I'm not gonna go 95 and call it world class. It'd be probably around 94.3-ish. The prime, it was not far off. It's like around 91, 92, and then the regular, probably a straight 90. Like it's really good haze, and I'm grading these high because they are really great hazies. But like in terms of personal preference, like I could maybe even go lower, but I don't want to because they are great for what they are. Like I rate lagers highly in these days for what they are, and I should do the same to hazies if they're great. So they are great, and if you love these kind of beers, you will love these. If you got this set on Beer Dome and you love haze, you're gonna love it, and you're gonna be like, wow, this is some of the best haze I've had. I'd say like compared to a lot of European haze, there's something about the yeast character on this that's fuller and richer, at least to some brewers. And I think that's one of the big defining factors. And then the biggest is the saturation of hops. This feels more or less like most European hazies, like very sweet, very juicy, not like too sweet. This one, there's definitely sweeter ones. Whereas these, it's like, you don't see something like this. You do see some, but like this saturation level, you don't see too much. And I think this is what at least a lot of geeks want. If you had a chance to try either Ghost in the Machine, Double Dry Hop Ghost in the Machine, or Ghost Prime, let me know your thought on them. Fun to try these from Parish, great brewery. I've only had these and their Mardi Gras Pilsner, so and that was also quite good. So I'm guessing they make great beers. If I'm ever in Louisiana, which is a bucket list place to go, it would be a brewery to visit. So if you guys had them as well, as I said, let me know what you thought of them. Thanks a ton to Beer Dome for the beers. And as always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And I'm going to say cheers in my favorite, the double dry hop version. And see you guys in another beer review.